the ice? Why is it so big?
So it doesn't melt. It's actually really interesting how they do it. It's this one company out in Boston that... That went south so fast!
Hi, welcome to Buddy.Seat. I'm your host, William Patrick Coleman.
And I'm your host, Joseph Guy Mead. Today we're going to be reviewing A Million Ways to Die in the West.
A travesty directed by Seth MacFarlane, creator of the Family Guy series and American Dad. It also stars Seth MacFarlane, Amanda Seyfried, Liam Neeson, Charlize Theron, Giovanni Ribisi, and Sarah Silverman.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris.
One of the best parts of the movie.
Which we won't get into right away, but let's go ahead and talk about this movie.
Anyway, the movie's about a sheep herder who gets dumped and falls in love with the badass guy of the West's wife. And Seth MacFarlane can't act, he can't hold a movie, he takes you out of it. Everything he's doing, all you're thinking about is how bad he's acting in the movie. I thought it was the worst movie of the decade.
That's a ridiculous statement.
Even the good parts of the movie took me out of it if he was in the scene. I didn't think it was funny because he didn't deliver it well, and he's not believable.
Get ready, I'm about to shoot a full load at your cans.
Shut the fuck up.
It's really unfortunate thing because a couple of years ago I didn't have a problem with Ted. It's not a good translation from Family Guy animation, that kind of comedy, over to film. Now he carries the same kind of comedy to A Million Ways to Die in the West, except you don't have an animated teddy bear. You actually have Seth MacFarlane in the role.
He tries to do the same jokes over and over again, like it's redundant, like the same joke over and over. He expects everybody to laugh every time, and I feel like Family Guy fans are going to go into this movie and they're going to wish they liked it and they're going to pretend like they like it, but if they see it twice they're going to be like,
I gotta tell you, I really wanted to like this movie, and there are a couple things I do like about this movie. Number one, Neil Patrick Harris's performance walks away with the whole movie almost, and he's the greatest part of the movie.
He was in Smurfs.
He was in Smurfs, which, as you know, where his success really comes from.
If you're gonna go see this movie, he's the one part of the movie where you're actually interested. You are smirking because I wasn't laughing.
Wait 4 months, rent it for $2, get a bottle of whiskey, just fast forward to Neil Patrick Harris's part. If I were to sit inside the Buddy.Seat grading system, I would say A Million Ways to Die in the West would be rated at about C10. C10 in my rating is being very generous compared to the fact that I would give it a grading system of an F- or an F+. How about you?
Okay, don't bring all the grading systems in it. I would give it, if I was going to grade it in the Buddy.Seat system, I would give it an A15, where you can barely see the screen.
My grade is actually worse because I'm surrounded by people, so when the movie ends, I have a harder time to exit the theater, as you do.
Yours isn't worse than mine.
I think mine's worse than yours.
Mine is the worst possible. You can't even see the movie.
A Million Ways to Die in the West sucks. Asshole. But don't take our word for Western comedies today. Today we have a guest actor, John Napoleon, which I've actually had the pleasure of working with on a previous Murph and Bird episode where he played Murph's father. Murph's father, yeah.
Hey, thank you for having me, Will.
All right. Thank you very much. John's here to talk to us today about Westerns and how they've changed over the past maybe 40 years, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Maybe give us some perspective on what we should look for in A Million Ways to Die in the West, even though we just slammed it.
You got it.
What do you like necessarily about Westerns? Specifically, what is your opinion on how they've changed in between the times that John Wayne was around to transferring to Clint Eastwood to where we've come now?
What I see in difference of Westerns from back in the day to these days is that they're a little bit more risky now. They're able to show you the things they weren't able to show you. And back in the Westerns let's just say the black and white Westerns, there's a lot of melodramatic to there. There's a lot of, and not that I don't want to see the home life, and I do, but I want to touch base more on the gunslinger, the rough times, the coward that's in the corner that builds up the guts and comes out just shooting, bam, bam, bam. I mean, I don't go to Westerns to see the romance. I'm sorry. I go to see the shootout. That's the bottom line.
That's what I was talking about earlier, though. I mean, the whole point of A Million Ways to Die in the West is centered around him trying to get a girl back, and then trying to get a different girl. So it's like they've moved so far past just the shootouts where romance is the entire plot of the movie pretty much now.
It's tough to do a Western with a comedy. Blazing Saddles was good, but it was very risky at its time. I mean, Three Amigos was another comedy Western that they came out
Oh,
with.
Three Amigos. We
Chevy Chase.
brought over Three Amigos.
Which I thought was
Is that a
very
Western
funny.
comedy? That's
Yes,
a
of
Western
course,
comedy.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Now, when you look at Western comedies, I look at more of a comedy than a Western.
Yeah.
I don't say Western comedy, I comedy.
Because you can mix any genre in with the comedy. You can make it any genre funny.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So, well, today's guest was John Napoleon. Do you have anything coming up that you would like to talk about as far as your acting career?
Oh, well, yeah. As a matter of fact, I just had an episode of my first lead role, finally.
Oh.
And it's a web series called Dark Things, and it's episode 2, Spark.
Thank you very much for your time today, John.
Thank you
I
very
really
much.
appreciate it. It was a pleasure and an honor as always again. Thank you for your time. The movie is A Million Ways to Die in the West, and if you're actually considering going to see that this weekend, why don't you change your mind and go see Godzilla instead? Because
Go see anything.
yeah,
Go watch Under the
see
Skin
anything,
again.
It's good. But thank you very much for tuning in, and until next week.